have for like recycling and
Okay.
yeah, it makes
Hi,
no
everybody.
sense.
It's Donna and Bree. Donna Nora's Soul Level Intuitive, and Bree is your small medium at large. And we're coming in tonight with something that's a little different than what we normally do when we get together. And this is going to be really fun. So, what we'd like to do is talk to you about some of the stories that we have from when people have reached out to us from the other side, beings, I should say. People, and I have a few animal stories too. But yeah, so
Yeah,
Bree, would you like to introduce yourself and just tell them maybe your first story and get it kicked off?
sure. Hi, my name is Bree. I am, as I advertise myself, a small medium at large. I do evidential mediumship and spirit art, and I also do guide readings as well. Um, but yeah, I guess what kind of inspired me in terms of like I know like us talking about this and kind of like us kind of going on our own um merry way and figuring out what we wanted to do and talk about um was I had a dem coming up, like a live dem, and I mainly did the dem um mainly in dedication of my best friend that did pass away
Yeah.
unexpectedly. And this was, I believe, the third anniversary of her passing was the date that I chose to do the dem.
Okay. For those of y'all who don't know, a DEM is like a live in-person demonstration of mediumship where, like Teresa Caputo on her show calls it a gallery reading. John Edwards calls it a gallery reading, where you have a group of people in the audience and she feels drawn to people and does mediumship readings for them. It's really an amazing experience. If you ever get an opportunity to see Bree in person, please do. But if you ever get a chance to go to a live mediumship gallery reading or a DEM, that's the European name. And we study with a guy from the UK. So we've kind of fallen into we all call him a DEM as
A
for
dem.
demonstration. For anyway, hi Sherry Nadi. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. So, did you have some really cool stuff happen at the den the other night? Anything interesting?
So yeah, I mean, I had a couple experiences with some people, and some things were definitely, brought to light. Um, and yeah, really, really cool evidence, really. Um, and I think it's not even like, and I'm having more of a shift in terms of like what I find successful in terms of not only a demonstration but also just a read in general. Um,
Mhm.
you start to get, even those like little tearjerker reactions. You're like, okay, like
Yeah,
like
that
they
that
I mean,
meant
they're the
something.
ones doing it, but you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just like the mailman, the cosmic mailman, just delivering these messages. And licorice comes out of thin air, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it!" Yeah, we used to eat licorice sticks together, and yeah, that kind of thing. It's really neat. You think something that's a little random, would just be some little tidbit, but you say
Hmm.
it, and it's what we call a gold nugget. It's like, that's the one thing that cements the evidence that you've got their person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, David H.
Hi.
David's a really great guy,
Yeah.
one of our animal communicators. Yeah. So I know for me, like in readings, they come through in my mind's eye a lot. I hear some things sometimes, but I also taste and smell and feel things in my body. And I'm trying to figure out, um, how that really it works. And what I've discovered is like it's sort of like layering. We talk about layering when we're doing mediumship in terms of bringing in one factoid and then bringing in another factoid and then kind of continuing on that track. But
Hmm.
with feeling it in my body, it's almost like they are like a fruit roll up and they just sort of unroll themselves over my energetic body. And then I think that's how I'm able to feel what they're feeling and point to different areas where there might be pain, or there might be fuzziness, or like fuzzy headed and things like that. Yeah, so it's different for all of us. But one of the really cool things I wanted to talk about is that when we are thinking and just walking around our everyday day-to-day life, when we would like to see signs, I always tend to think, because I do see a lot through my mind's eye, it's going to be a visual. But it's not necessarily going to be visual. In fact, when I saw spirit, I've only seen spirit in corporeal form, what I is like a see-through body. I've only had that happen to me one time, and I
Mm-hmm.
was good when it happened. And we had just moved into the house, and I was probably 6 years old, and my grandfather was like walking along the back fence line, and I knew it was my grandfather because of the way he stood, the clothes he had, what he was wearing, and the way he was kind of pitched. He had this purposeful forward leaning walk. And so I knew it was my granddad. But that was right about the time the whole family was saying, cut that out. Don't talk about that. That's not real. The kids at school are going to make fun of you. Please don't say anything in front of a teacher, all that stuff. So I was starting to dial it down at that point. But you could also, in addition to seeing them, you can hear things that might be signals, and
Yeah.
like hear something on the radio that might
Mm-hmm.
even be a signal. You could hear something, just off in the next room or coming down the hall. I have heard like paws, the nails on dogs' paws, click, 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 click down the hardwood floor, down the hall, and I didn't have any dogs anymore at that point. My last one had passed. So I felt pretty certain it was Lucky, because I could tell from they were little and close together, and Lucky was my very first small dog. So it had to be Lucky Dog.
Um,
So anyway, those are some of my shorter sign stories. But I don't know. Has your friend come through since she passed? Have you have made contact with her? Hi,
yeah. So weirdly enough, I mean, this day literally just happened.
yeah. Oh, really?
Three years, three. Okay, so she passed, I believe in March of 2022, and I first, it was literally, I believe, like the day after she passed.
Yeah.
The day after that, I was called up and told that this had happened. Um, I actually I cried a lot that night, but I sat down
Not
and I
good.
started drawing, and I have it right here. Um,
Oh, you do? Oh,
so this this is what I drew. Um,
oh, that's beautiful. Is that your friend?
yeah, so that's my friend in spirit. So curly
And now
hair is
she's an
still there.
angel.
Um,
Yeah.
but it was just one of those things that, like, after all that crying, it was very clear, like, okay, go get your iPad, go start drawing. And it was very, it's one of, yeah, my first spirit art experience too, of just
Oh,
like taking in the energy, seeing what I felt, um and really just honing that in and processing it through the energy, and
art.
that's
Yeah.
just her confirmation to me that she was okay.
Yeah. Neat. That's so cool. Glad you shared that. Thank you. You're a
Yeah.
really good artist. That was a great picture.
Thank you.
Uh, Oh,
Yeah.
hey, Venus, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. We're just sharing stories. If any of y'all have a story of an encounter or a sign that you received from an animal or a loved one, human loved one that's crossed over, please feel free to type it in the chat. We'd love to hear your stories as well. So, there's another thing I wanted to talk about while we are here, and that is sometimes like we inherit things from people who pass. And I've got like my grandmother's brooch. And it's like one time I found these two mahogany boxes. And I asked my mom, what they were. And she told me, these were my mother's. and this is where she kept all of her keepsakes and all of the things that meant something to her. And I still have the 2 boxes. But I'd taken the brooch out because the very first time I pulled the brooch out and looked at it, I went through the box and, just had some sentimental moments and some of her memories and her handwritten letters to and from different people and stuff. And it was a sentimental time, but I put it back up, and then I walked downstairs, and all of a sudden, and I'm alone in my house, except for dogs and cats, I smell gardenias. I mean, like, like a flower is right here, suction cup to my face. I'm smelling gardenias so strong. And that was her perfume. She wore this floral gardenia perfume. And it was like, oh my God, she's really here. But this was also like, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe. And so I hadn't really stepped back into the sensing side of my brain. I was still operating totally out of the left side of my brain. And so I just was like, wow, that's amazing. That is something. How did my body do that? I just thought that was something my body did because I was having all these memories and thoughts of her. But now I know better. Now I know it was really her. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
that was
cool.
pretty neat.
Gardenias are actually a sign from my grandma's.
Oh
Uh,
my God. We just had
yeah.
another one of those like moments yesterday when we were doing some work together.
Yeah, we were doing
I
work
was
together
getting
and there
memories
was
from
like,
my childhood, and they were her memories from her childhood too. It was gosh,
that was
crazy.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was saying a while ago, sometimes spirit makes us aware of something seemingly random. And I got a picture, y'all, of stacked phone books. Some of y'all, I hope, are old enough to remember phone books. But anyway, when we were little kids and we were not quite tall enough to reach the table, they would stack up the yellow pages in the phone books and set us kids on the phone books. And so I told her that, and Bree has had that same experience at her grandmother's house when she was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the funniest thing. And now the gardenias too. But that's
Yeah.
an example with the gardenias and the touching of her item of 2 different ways that we can call spirit in or draw spirit in. So hey, Jennifer P, Jennifer Parr, Michelle Krantz, Christina, golly, I'm so glad y'all are here. We're just getting started with stories. So if you guys have any that you want to share, feel free to type them in. Let's see, we've got something here from Jennifer. I got a message from Romy, my homie from beyond, from a can of Coke. I bought a case and many of them had homie stamped on them. Oh, was that back when they were doing names on the cans? Was
Oh my gosh.
that is a wild, I mean, to have that many with that name? Amazing. They
Sharing
really,
is
they
love.
really do well to manipulate stuff. Hardly a coincidence. Yeah, yeah, gardenia is a really powerful fragrance. I mean, and it was just like right here. So what was so funny is like a couple years later, I told my kids about, they were teenagers at the time, about having her brooch and having her keepsakes because they had asked me, well, what are these boxes doing in the living room? Because they just look like 2 plain mahogany boxes, and I have them sitting out so they remind me of her, and
Oh,
I just like them. They're pretty, and so I told them about what they were and told them about the story of the gardenias. And that year for Mother's Day, they bought me gardenia bush so I
oh,
could plant it and have the smell outside too. That's my
lovely.
sweet kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer Parr says she gets messages frequently, as we all do when we pay attention. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
Oh, and saying thanks. I
Yeah.
mean, people in spirit are no different than people here in the 3D. We all love to hear thank you. We all like to be acknowledged. And so, yeah, if you think you know who it is, you can ask for a clarifying sign. If you're not sure who it is, you can ask and see what you get. Um, it's really fun when you make it lighthearted and fun and not a lot of pressure. The signs do come and the answers definitely do come. Oh, thanks for the greeting, Christina. That's really nice. Michelle Krantz has something. A few days after my dad passed away, a wind-up figurine that plays music started to play by itself for about 15 seconds. I had not touched it in a very long time. Whoa, yeah, that's a big one. That's really awesome. They are so good at manipulating energy. I don't know if you've had any of these experiences, Bree, but like making lights flicker, I've had
Oh
that
yeah.
experience before, where I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and all of a sudden, and then I'll get back into watching the show or whatever I'm doing, and then just want to get right back into it. It does it again, and I just have to go, okay, I don't know who you are, but cut that out, and then it stops.
Yeah.
You got to leave. But anyway, that's really wild to have a toy wind up and go. Let's
That's
see.
really cool. And that actually reminded me of this little violin. It actually knocked over when I was getting the picture.
Oh, was that what
So
bumped?
this is I actually found this at a garage sale, and it
No
was
kidding.
like $1 or two, and it was really funny because I was thinking of I was thinking of my friend during that time,
Yeah.
and basically what happened was with my friend, like she loved music, and for some reason in my head it was like, go ahead, go ahead and buy this. So I was like, oh
Oh,
my gosh. um, so I feel like that was a sign from her to be like, okay, yeah, add
yeah.
this to your collection.
Absolutely. That's so neat.
Yeah.
I like that. You can put it on your altar too for your deceased loved ones, your ancestral altar.
Yeah.
So Sherry Needi says, I had a corgi I lost in 2019, and the next day out of the blue, my phone played the George Ezra song, Benjamin Twine. The first line, let me tell you about my best friend. Oh,
Oh,
that is so sweet. Is that the corgi in your photo? That's really, oh,
that's cute.
sorry for your loss, but what a great way for your pup to come back and affirm that, hey, I'm here, I'm still here, just in another form. Yeah. It's crazy how they do that stuff. And then we're drawn to like turn on the radio or turn on YouTube or turn on Spotify, and here it comes. Here come these signs.
My goodness,
Yeah.
that's some beads rolling around here.
That's the one thing I associate with you. Bree also makes really beautiful jewelry, and I've got a couple of gorgeous bracelets that she made. She has some really pretty stuff. Venus has a story. I just heard a song from my dad today. Ah, cool. I
Oh,
asked him to show me what his energy feels like. Oh, that's a great question. And I got goosebumps. Going to keep asking him and see what happens. Yeah, that's really
yeah.
neat. And you feel things too in your body like goosebumps. That's awesome. Wow, Venus, that's really awesome. Like that story. Sherry says, yeah, that's Harper in the profile and her cat, Remy. Oh, nice. Okay, so Lisa P has a story, and apparently it's in more than one part. So let's see what this says. Part one. A couple of days before my mom passed away, she couldn't talk or move. My dad, siblings, and I were sitting around her, singing her favorite campfire songs. Oh my gosh. I was closest to her. Well, we'll have to get the continuation of the story. That's neat. I like how when someone is and you know that they're actively transitioning and the family gathers around. I think it's neat. When my uncle passed, we were all, my cousins and I, his kids and I were all around him in the room, and we were just telling stories about different times when he had played a practical joke on us and scared us half to death, or the time that my mom told me about when she and he jumped out of they dragged all the mattresses out of my grandmother's house and laid them underneath the attic window, and then they climbed up to above the second story and jumped out onto the mattresses on the ground while it's like, oh my God. So we were just telling all these funny, crazy stories about my uncle, and he was not conscious, and he was asleep. And then all of a sudden, his eyes opened after we were telling these stories and laughing and cutting up about him. He opened his eyes and he looked straight ahead. I happened to be the one in his line of sight. And then his other kids came around me when I said, oh my gosh, his eyes are open. And then he passed. So I
Oh,
feel like that was an amazing acknowledgement. And now he comes through in readings all the time. Um, he's a great big guy, but one reader said he's a great big guy with a little bitty name. And that's really true because his name was George, but his nickname was Pee Wee, even though he was 6'8" and 350 pounds. That was just kind of the joke. That was his name, Pee Wee.
was
So he's a great big guy with a little bitty Pee Wee name.
was that the gentleman that I connected with for you like the other day?
Oh no, that's
No,
not him.
different,
That's a
a
different
different
one.
gentleman. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had to tell.
Mm,
Oh, I have to tell you about that later. But yeah, that turned out to be my another Uncle Forrest, his brother.
oh, cool.
Yeah. So part two. Okay, the story continues. So I was closest to her. I leaned over and kissed her on the cheek and whispered, "I hope we did a good job and that I loved her." I then went to take a nap, and well, she visited me and told me, "Great job." Wow, what a moment. They do come to us in our dreams, in our sleep. It's when our brain finally slows down enough, that they can get through, I think.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, it's a really lovely story, Lisa. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Pee Wee in the most ironic way. Exactly. That's my family. One big picture of irony, one after another. That's a show. That's a whole other show.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, I also found, not in that box, but in another keepsake box that my dad gave me, and it was his grandfather's ring. And this was his grandfather that immigrated to the United States from Germany. And this ring is so big, it doesn't even fit on my thumb. It's too big for my thumb. I swear it's like giant. And I still can't believe that because 100 years ago, most people were like 6 inches shorter and a lot smaller, and furniture was even smaller and stuff. And here's this great big guy with these huge hands. And when he immigrated to this country, he wasn't able to do right away what he was trained to do in terms of a trade. So he worked on the docks because he was a big guy with big hands. And I bet I just never would have believed it until I saw that ring. And he has also come through in readings, not long after I started studying with you and this group that we all study under, this medium named Charlie Kelly, who is amazing if you ever get a chance to see him. But
you can look him up on YouTube if you want to.
yeah, he's got lots of YouTube videos about mediumship and stuff. But he doesn't come to the United States yet. Anyway, um, I just got this. He started coming through. I had seen the ring. I saw it in the back of my drawer because I just moved 2 years ago. It was right about the time I started studying again and getting more into mediumship. And yeah, he came through. He was one of the first ones that came through.
Oh,
Oh, Lisa says, story two, part one. This is great. I was really upset and worried that she would be happy being away from her family. I was in my bedroom basically yelling at the universe. And then my uncle, who has been deceased for years, dot, dot, dot. We'll see how that continues in a minute. But yeah, it's really crazy how they respond to their things, that we notice their things and brings them to the forefront of our mind. I used to, like my mother-in-law, she was like my other mother, right? I lived next door to my husband. He's was the boy next door growing up, and his parents and my parents were best friends, and so we just kind of ran back and forth between the houses. He was a lot older, so he was off doing cool big guy kid stuff. But we would go over and play, and she would cook with us and show us how to do crafts, and we made all kinds of Christmas decorations every year. And as we got older, she and I just would hang out, especially after I got married to her son. And we would go shopping, and we had a lot of the same taste. And as time went on and everything, we would go to the casinos together. Oh my God, she said she was psychic with casinos, and she knew how to go play the slots that won. That woman would make $50,000 a year playing the slots, and she just hit like 1,000 at a time or 500 at a time. She said, I always try to cash it out before it gets to 1,400 because then they take taxes out. I'm like, okay. But anyway, so, when she passed away, we were still the same size and we still wore a lot of the same kinds of clothes. And so I still have some of her stuff. And I swear
Mm-hmm.
every time I put that on, she was also a smoker and
Mm-hmm.
a lifelong non-filter smoker. And every time I put on some of her clothes, even though I know they're clean, I smell cigarette smoke. So I know she's with me. That's really kind of
Yeah.
cool.
I
Yeah.
wonder if one of those pieces of clothing are like attributed to like casino luck if you were to go.
Ooh, look at
She'd bring
that.
you some luck in the slots.
Ooh, I'm actually going on a cruise next month at the end of next month for a week. Maybe they'll have a casino. I'm going to take her jacket. She's got a
Take
jacket. I'm
her give
going
her
to take
luck. She'll be there.
it. See what happens. I normally just kind of steer clear of it because I'm not a high roller. I'm what you call a very low roller when it comes to gambling. I don't. And if I lose $100, it's like, man, I could have done a lot of other good stuff with that $100, and then I'm done.
But you
But she
could
didn't.
receive an unexpected blessing, so you never know.
I know, right? I know. So yeah, I guess I'll try it. Thanks, Bree. That's a really good
Yeah.
idea. I didn't even
Yeah.
think of that. Okay, we're back to yelling in the bedroom at the universe, and then our uncle, who has been deceased for years, Uncle Paul, her brother, walked into my room and nodded his head yes when I asked if she would be happy. Oh
Mm.
my gosh, is your Uncle Paul deceased? Was he like walked in spirit, or was he like a person, like living? Either way, it's still amazing that it happened like on command, right? Wow, thank you for sharing, Lisa.
Yeah.
You got some stories, girl. Jennifer Parr says, I frequently get visits from family and friends in the dream realm. Yeah, I also have recurring dreams that I keep having until it happens in the waking world. Yes, like mainly specific places. And I've had that happen for me where I'm in random conversation in my dream with somebody I don't know. And then 3 months later or a week later, it doesn't really matter, but not that much later, it's almost like a deja vu moment when you're like, I remember this somehow, like I've been here before. And then you remember, oh yeah, this was that crazy dream. Wow. Oh, Lisa says her Uncle Paul was definitely deceased. He died years before her mom. Holy smokes. Wow. That's a great story. You're 2 for 2, Lisa. Wow. No worries, Jennifer. I'm obviously ping ponging back and forth between stories. No, I hope y'all are paying attention. We'll do a little bit of one, then another, and then back. So, yeah, feel free to type them in. I appreciate the part one and the part two bit.
That's cool.
So, have you had any like visuals where you actually saw anybody, Bree?
Um, so let's see. Like saw somebody, yeah. They have happened, I feel like prior to mediumship. It's weird because I feel like now that I practice I practice mediumship more and more,
Yeah,
I don't see them as much as I used to for some reason. And
yeah,
I'm just learning that it's okay. It comes through how it's supposed to come through. And even if it comes through like hearing or just the smell of
feeling.
it or
Yeah,
whatever, like it's okay. I'm just happy that they came and they hopped in and they joined. Um, but yeah, I had I mean all the dreams and stuff that reminded me of when my one of my dogs, he passed away. And it was interesting because I was sad and I was kind of
yeah.
like, what like if I could talk to you, can you give me like advice or can you tell me about like the next dog that we're getting? Because I feel like there's a dog coming soon. And my previous dog, he was like, yeah, like I'll tell you, he's gonna be a black dog. The name, this is going to be another boy that you are going to have for a dog, and either the dog is going to have spots or his name will be Spot. Um, And then we went to the animal shelter and we found this black dog that we loved. And he didn't have a name, and he had a singular white spot on his chest. So my husband, he thought it would
Oh.
be funny if, and this is before I even told him all of this, he thought it would be funny if we named him Spot. So,
Well, yes, yes, it would.
yes.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
it's just cool.
Yeah. I just got reminded from Spirit. I actually have seen um, spirits in corporeal form one other time. It was during kind of a dark time in my life that I just generally don't think about anymore. But in 1989, I was working for a petroleum chemical company down in Houston, and the plant blew up, and 23 of my coworkers died that day. And I was put on because, me, I'll talk to anybody. And I knew everybody in the plant, seemed like, and they put me on the explosion investigation team. And I was a liaison between the families of the victims that they were still searching to try to find, and the people out in the field. And I got to a point where, after reliving it, it seemed like reliving it every day. I started dreaming about it and waking up in the night, just waking up, sitting up, terrified, or apparently screaming, because then my kids would start screaming, and they were little bitty babies at that time. They were like not
Oh,
even a year old, and not even 2 years old, and my son started having nosebleeds, and my daughter started just freezing. Whenever somebody would scream, she would just freeze in place. It was really starting to affect them. And and then I would get up. One time I remember getting up to go see about them, and I had to go out of my room, and I looked down this long hall, of which their bedroom was off the hall, and then the living area was at the end of the hall, and there were two of the gentlemen who passed in the hall. And I was like, you guys have got to give me a break.
yeah.
Eventually it did stop, but that's the only other time. And I, again, it was not when I was in a place to recognize it for what it was, or to consider it a blessing, or consider it anything other than trauma,
Yeah.
post-traumatic stress. But but my kids are fine. They bounced back. I transferred out of that particular role, stayed with the company, but transferred out of that role, and things immediately started to get better. So anyway,
Thank you for sharing that.
it's
Mm.
not the greatest kind of sighting, but it is evidence. I've never had any doubt that life goes on. Um, I've never been one of those one and done kind of belief system people. But now that I have started doing this work again, it enables me to see it in a whole new light. And, how do I know that they weren't trying to comfort me or to comfort my kids? I don't know. There was nothing menacing about them, but there were just two of them there.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's see who else has a story. Jennifer Parr. After my dad's funeral, we were all sharing stories in the parking lot when a 10-point buck casually walked by. Oh my. Okay, like how often does that happen? Certainly dad's spirit.
Oh,
Oh, what a cool story. Yeah. Yeah, we are in a loving, understanding group here. We really are.
mm.
Bree, you're probably already getting to be aware, if you're not already, some of the people and my on my lives, and that watch our videos, yours and mine, and they're just the most amazing, supportive, kind-hearted people I've ever met, even if it's only online meeting. So a couple of them I've
Yeah.
met in person and gotten to talk to and stuff. But those are always just truly, truly blessings.
Oh, yeah.
I have another one when I know that, like, my father-in-law is with me. He used to do this thing where he would reach around and scratch the top of his head like this, like a monkey, like ee, ee, ee. And we used to tease him about that. And so now, whenever I feel like, my father-in-law comes in, I get this itch like right on the top of my
Oh my
head.
gosh.
So it has to be Richard. What else could that be? It's like wild. And then once I acknowledge Richard, then, my head doesn't itch anymore. So it's not like something else. Yeah. Yeah. Tough assignment. Yeah. I don't know. I got really good at arranging memorial services. It took quite a while to identify some of the people. And the last two, we just had to make a presumed ID because they never found enough of them to make a definitive ID. But anyway, that's kind of life when you work in a place like that. People don't think it's all that dangerous. And you know what's so funny is that when I went to work there, they're like, yeah, I said, do you guys make dangerous chemicals? Because I kind of want to know. I'm a young single mom at the time, and I'm like, what do you do here? Oh, we don't make anything dangerous. We just make plastic. I'm like, oh, okay. Do. I never even had a safety orientation. They were a little lax about that stuff before the explosion. But then afterward, of course, safety was number one in everything we did. But still, it was a different day and time back in the 80s. So do you have any others or any stories, perhaps, Bree, from a reading that would be fun to bring through? Kind of give some evidence. Hey, Lauren, glad you're here. I have also, like, with my lucky dog, not long after he passed away, I got into bed, and you're kind of in that not quite asleep, but definitely not awake stage when you're just drifting off. And all of a sudden, I felt like footsteps down at the foot of the bed. He would jump up on there's a little bench at the foot of my bed, and he would jump up on the bench and then jump up on the bed whenever he would come to go to bed with me, to go to sleep. And I could feel the paw prints on the blanket as he walked up to get his spot, because he slept on the pillow next to where I slept with my head. So that was a really good one. I loved that. That was really nice because he was the dog that was just amazing. He's the dog that got me into doing animal communication. He's the one that, really inspired me. Hey, Leah. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. Lisa P says, I ask for hugs. Oops, where'd it go? I ask for hugs from my parents and guides and can feel the embrace on my shoulders and upper back. Yeah, that's really cool. And there are sometimes, we were talking the other day, how you can almost feel like they're wrapping their wings around you, or they're, a blanket around you, just a big hug. That's so cool. I'm glad you can feel it. What better evidence is that? Jennifer's got another one. While at the Titanic exhibit with the recovered artifacts, oh, and my hair was stroked and caressed. Ooh, yeah, that's incredible. Whoa. I read an article today about the Titanic, about these two little boys that were rescued in one of the lifeboats, and their parents obviously didn't make it, and it took weeks. They were these two little orphans from the Titanic, and finally it came to light. Their mother was from France, these little boys' mom, and these little boys had been the center of a custody dispute, and the father had abducted the two children and gotten book passage on the Titanic to take his sons to New York for a better life. And when the boat was sinking, he got the boys on board the lifeboat, but then he didn't make it. But the mom saw the newspaper articles about these orphans, and they were able to get her back. She was able to come over to the United States and get the two little boys. But yeah, there's so many awesome Titanic stories, but that one's really something. Love that. Lots of hellos. You're not too late, Leo. If you've got stories of how people have connected with you from the other side, we would love to hear them. She does say, I'm really missing my cat. How long should I wait to get a rescue? I think it's whatever feels right in your heart. And like Bree asked her dog, she was just talking about it right before you got on the call, Leah, about how she asked her dog about it. And
Yeah.
what did your dog say? Yes, and then
He
told you
gave
what his name
he
was going to
he
be.
yeah, he gave answers. He told me what the dog was going to look like and I guess what to look for because he said that spots or the name spot was going to be significant. And that's when my husband, well, I mean, we both realized that the dog at the shelter didn't have a name.
Yeah,
And it was just like, and without my husband even knowing, he was just like, let's name this dog Spot because he has one singular white spot on his chest. It's like, okay.
right
And then I
there.
told him the story after, and
Yeah,
we just felt like it was meant to be.
yeah. So I think if it feels like, life just it would help you to finish processing and, the making that transition from the sadness into the memories of all the joy that your last cat had given you, then if it's going to be easier to do that with another animal, then I think it's a great time. I know I wasn't necessarily ready to get another animal after Lucky passed away, but I met my cousin at a rescue gathering of like 5 different rescues, and they all got together at this coliseum. They had dogs on one side and cats on the other side, and my cousin wanted to get a cat, so I met her there and walked her around, and I was doing a lot of rescue and fostering at that time, so I introduced her to some of the different people from the different rescues, and she found her cat, and yay, got her all set and settled. And after she left, I thought, well, I'll just, rather than just leave and go home, I'll walk back through the gymnasium side of the Civic Center where they had all the dogs. And I walked in, and Dasher was about half the size of what he is now. He's my tan dog that usually sits on the, yeah, he's asleep back there. But anyway, he was sitting in a kennel like a little sphinx with his paws out like this and just his shoulders up and just staring straight ahead. And I was like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing, buddy?" And he didn't move. He kind of did that thing like my daughter used to do, just frozen. And I thought, I wonder if he's like scared, like it's anxiety attack like my daughter would have. So I opened up the door, and I didn't reach in to pet him. I was just talking to him through the open door, and he came out of that kennel and he walked right up my shoulders and put his head right here.
Um,
So that was the first step that he took to let me know. And, you know, for Lucky to also bless it, I think. It just felt blessed to me when that happened. So anyway, Leah, it never hurts to go look, and
yeah.
just to try it out and see how it feels in your heart, see how your body responds, to the idea of it in that moment, as you're in the rescue and looking around. Yeah. Sherry says she had a coworker last year who died suddenly, and we always called her Bunny. And that week, I kept on seeing bunnies at dusk in the backyard.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so cute.
that's
Well,
so sweet. That is so sweet. That's a great way for her to make herself seen. Leah says, "How long should I wait?" I would consider going pretty soon. What do
yeah.
you think, Bree?
I
If it's
feel
on your
like,
heart,
yeah. I mean, if you have that spark of curiosity, sometimes it'll lead you to a good place. So
yeah,
just roll with it. Just see how it feels.
yeah,
And if everything inside of you is saying you should probably go, then yeah, then I'd go.
then you
But
should
if you
go.
have the opposite response where everything in your body and even your mind and everything is telling you like, okay, maybe you should wait, like maybe no, but
Not today, not
it's
today. Then you
not
can't find
today.
your keys, all the
Yeah.
cut stuff. Yeah,
Because
just pay.
maybe your perfect furry friend is just, not quite there yet. You never know. And that might be why you would be getting a no. So I would check in with, how you feel and, your guides and even check in with your furry friend that has passed and see what they have to say. Because I did that with my dog, and I was pleasantly surprised, and it
Yeah.
worked.
And let me just ask you, when you did that with your dog, did you like ask them at night, like before you go to sleep, and then
Yes,
go to sleep? That's what I do. I just put it out to the universe and talk to, my loved ones like right before I go to sleep, and then see if
and
I
then they
wake up
show
with
you in the
knowing.
dream.
Yeah. Or I'll just wake up knowing what to do, what the answer
Yeah.
is, even if I don't remember the dream. So that might be something you could start trying, Leah. Just ask your cat about it at night before you go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa P says, yep, my mom hugs me and I can sometimes also smell her perfume. Oh, that's the best.
Um,
That's amazing. Leo says, can I ask my cat Maudie what to look for in my next cat? Absolutely. I mean, Bree did it. It
Perfect.
worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I was kind of asking in terms of like gender, what the cat looked like, what the personality was like, and it's funny, it all checked out.
Really, yeah. Yeah. You can't beat it. There's this there going in that they're not going to be with you forever, but the joy that they bring and the sense of laughter and lightheartedness, and they do such a great job of bringing us back to the present moment when I should say, get all spun up in my head and I'm living in the future, ruminating about the past. And animals have a terrific way of bringing you right back to the here and now. So there's just nothing better than having an animal to love on, I don't think, except for kids.
Kids are pretty
Kids are
sweet
probably
too.
just as good.
Yeah. And chickens.
Yeah, chickens,
The
that's right.
chickens are
You got
cute.
all your new chickens. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have any pictures on your phone, turn your phone around. Let us see.
See.
Carl, he says, hi, my cat Cutie died today out of day 4 since the last 11 days. Can you check my Akashic if my neighbor at the back threw something poisonous intentionally? Oh my gosh. I'm really sorry about that. One of the cats did survive. I know seemed like there was one that you were trying to get to drink water, and I can't remember the details. I did a live the other night, and Carl had one cat pass and another one or two that were really sick. I'm sorry about the cat, Carl. I'm sure they fought hard. He's a great cat dad. I would, I think what I'd like to do is hold on this. Number one, to give Cutie, since it just died today, time to get a little acclimated to being in spirit. And then in my next live, I will I will definitely connect with Cutie for you. We'll see if they can shed any light on what happened. Leah's like, yay, I need a furry baby to love and learn from. Absolutely.
And they want to
Yeah,
help you. They're here to help.
and they really do. Yeah. And they want to help the new animal. They will. They'll tell them things like, do this funny thing with your butt. They really like that. Or, where you wiggle
They
your whole
will.
butt.
Or make sure that you act right, because there's
Yes.
certain things that you shouldn't do, and they're gonna get mad about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and
They're
then
really
here's
great
the
about helping the new ones learn the ropes. Oh,
baby
look at
chicken.
all the chickens. How many are there all together?
Yeah.
How many of them do you have now altogether?
We've got 10.
Wow, that's going to be a lot of eggs.
Yeah.
I hope you like eggs.
We do. Oh
And your
yeah, we do.
neighbors. You got lots of family and neighbors that like eggs.
Yeah.
My sister just has like, I don't know, 4 or 5, and she has more eggs than she knows what to do with. She's like me, she doesn't cook that much. So she just takes eggs to work, and everybody at work has eggs.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but they're also really entertaining. They're super sweet. Yeah, it is a sweet story. Donna met my dinky dog in spirit, who greeted her enthusiastically.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's
that's
true.
cute.
Yeah, can't remember. Carl's got hellos. Oh, this is a good point. Jennifer says, ask for guidance and you'll know our animals really choose us. God, they do. They really, really do. So Lisa P.'s got another one. My dad, when he sent me his first sign after he passed, I asked for a billboard type of sign. I was in the bathroom at work and I smelled aftershave, a mix of Old Spice and Brute to the point that my eyes watered. Yeah, that's like, you call it a billboard. I call it like a two-by-four between the eyes. That's incredible. Did he wear either of those two scents? My dad used to wear Old Spice when I was little. Yeah, then he switched to like Paco Rabanne or something in the 70s and 80s. I don't know what he's wearing now, but anyway, that's great. Old Spice and Brute. Whoops. Leah says, so I have a talk with a young squirrel who kept getting on the bird feeder and told him that was not nice, don't do that. And he got down and hasn't been back up. He wants more treats. That's so awesome. Yeah, David H. also has squirrels that he has conversations with and that he knows. They certain ones that have names, and I just think squirrels are awesome. I like them. I had one, well, I had a few in this house. After a hurricane hit my house in 2017, I had to move out of it for a while they were doing some repairs. So I rented this other house, and there were way more squirrels in this neighborhood where the rental house is than my house. Um, and what had happened was I brought a chase lounge, for outside and a cushion, a chase cushion. And all of a sudden, it's winter, right? And I'm looking out, and it's like these little tufts of white are floating in the air, like coming down in front of the window. And I'm looking, and I couldn't figure it out. So I went outside, and what it was the squirrels had basically cleaned out the stuffing from the cushion, and they were up in the tree, and they made a whole big nest out of the stuffing, and the stuffing was falling down. Now I know that's not a ghost story, but I just think it's hilarious. I had no idea. I didn't go out there. It was cold. Anyway, they just make use of everything. They're very enterprising, those squirrels.
Animals are magical.
They yeah, sometimes in a pixie fairy kind of way, but yeah. There's lots of love and concern. Carl. First Pepsi, then Bobby, then Zoe, and now Cutie. Wow. Really. That's a lot. Really sorry, Carl. All the male cats. Only Manny survived, and he was sick the longest, so it's a miracle. What was that? Here's another one from Lisa P. My black lab Barney came to me in a dream as three little black lab puppies. Each one had one of his quirks. I didn't want to share them with my sister. That's so cute. I wish I could remember more of my dreams every now and then. Not a lot. Something about seashells and eggshells. I must have missed something. Leah says shells go in the garden, both seashells and eggshells. Is that for the chickens? I don't know. Oh, Carl's. Okay, sorry. She's having a conversation with Carl. Miss that. Christina has a story. Let's see. Part one. I was recently talking with Sybil Harmony. Some of y'all may know her. She's from the West Coast, and she is a healer and a clairvoyant, and also a commentator. And she does lots of really amazing energy work. But so I was talking with Sybil Harmony. She mentioned there was a cat around me, which isn't typical. I realized my son's cat Hazel passed a couple of weeks ago. So this is very hard. Oh, so it was Hazel. Oh, wow. Well, that's really neat because Hazel would know that you would be open to hearing from spirit, and maybe your son is still too deep in grief, or maybe he doesn't go in for it, but your son would hear. Wow. Oh my God. So Old Spice was so my dad too. Yeah. Lisa says, oh, he used to combine them and wear a lot of it. Okay. No denying that it was dad then. Couldn't be anybody else. She says, I would just be cautious to let people know don't ask for a billboard or a two before between the eyes. You just might get it. Yeah. Yeah. Back to the squirrels. Leah says they have a short life. Be nice to them. I think they're nice. They can have my stuffing. I don't care. David says his squirrels are spoiled. They scratch at the door now. Where's my food? They do start trusting you after a while, Leah. That's true. Or Venus, sorry. Venus said that. They almost eat out of our hands. Wow. And oh, this is very true, Leah. We must remember soul chooses its exit regardless of how it happens. And that is true. And sometimes, yeah, they're just, it's just their time to go. And so they do generally plan their passing.
Yeah.
So here's part two of Christina's story. Hazel's passing was very unexpected as she had been to the vet and was on the mend after a couple of weeks with kidneys shutting down after taking a turn and then had to be put to sleep. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. She must have had her, it was her time to go. But it's really, I feel grateful that she got to come to you. And you're getting love here too, Christina. Lisa says, I remember the real feeling ones. Yeah. You know, when you just feel it or smell it or know it or see it. I also got one, like back when I was really starting to get into developing my gifts, like again, and I was sitting also alone in my living room, and all of a sudden, just that it was just this stale alcohol. If you've ever been around a drunk person that doesn't realize that it's literally coming out of their pores, you know, they're just, that's how long they've been drinking. But just this stale alcohol, stale cigarette smoke in my living room. And that's not me, not a smoker, not certainly not that kind of drinker. And I couldn't figure out who it was. And the only one I could think of was maybe my great grandfather. He was one of those alcoholics that literally drank himself to death. And so it might have been him. But I just told whoever it was, you know, if you didn't have my eyes good at heart, you needed to leave. And I didn't get it anymore. But that was just really disconcerting. You know, when you're not sure who it is and it doesn't feel good, y'all do have the ability and the authority agency over your own home to tell them to leave your space.
Boundaries.
Yeah,
Boundaries are important.
yeah. And if they continually wake you up in the middle of the night, you can also tell them, hey, make an appointment. Yeah, I got to get some sleep. And they have to leave you alone if you tell them to. Sherry says, I had raccoons attack my bird feeder. Oh gosh. One night there was 4 out there. I felt whatever. Wow. Amazing. I've never had any instances with raccoons. I'm more of a suburban dweller. Have you ever had raccoons in your place, Bree?
Um, well, we've got a neighborhood bear.
Bear?
We've got a neighborhood bear. He likes to go through the trash.
In Florida?
Yeah, in Florida.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
And
mind
then
blower. Okay.
yeah, and then we've seen mountain lions too. Um and then yeah, we have all kinds of weird crazy wildlife up here. Uh,
Yeah.
up in the
Wowza.
panhandle.
A neighborhood bear. Okay.
Neighborhood bear. Yeah. Um he is it was funny because we were walking out and my husband saw like a bag of trash that was teared open And
Yeah.
I guess there was like something dirty in there, like a dirty diaper or something in there. The bear was like, "Yeah, no thanks. Let's just
Yeah.
leave it here." Because I remember one time he definitely went through our trash. Well, this was before we put the bear lock on our
Yeah.
trash, but he went. We were throwing out some old birthday cake because we just couldn't finish it. It was getting old. He
Yeah.
definitely had that birthday cake though. Um,
I guess he has a sweet tooth.
enjoyed that.
Yeah. Christina says Stephen will be connecting to connect with Hazel. That would be my honor to do that. Carl says, no, Donna, I meant I agree that animals chose us and have a soul contract. As my Pepsi called me brother, and he's coming back. Look forward to that. Yeah, I get it. Sorry if I misunderstood. Leah says, coons. They're another story. I love them too. They help and share food with other animals. Yes. So do possums. Possums get such a bad rap, and everybody's afraid of them. They're nocturnal. They don't, they're not exactly what some people would call cute, but I think they are. Anyway, they eat a lot of mosquito larvae. That's why I love them. And, they keep the pests down, take care of a lot of other pesky critters so that you don't have to worry about those. Jennifer says squirrels are fun to watch outside, but inside not so much. Yeah, I can't imagine. I don't know about inside. Oh, here's somebody else. I'm getting an education, y'all. Sally Dixon says lots of bears in Florida. They're about to authorize another bear hunt this year.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Do you live close to a forest or close to any kind of wildlife area where the bear
There's
can
yeah,
hide
there's
out?
lots of bushes and forest. It's very foresty up where I am, so lots
Yeah.
of trees,
Wow.
lots of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
We get
Certainly
deer
where
that
I
roam
am.
through the neighborhood. It's beautiful to watch them. I love
Yeah.
seeing the deer.
I
And
miss that.
it's really cute because sometimes they come like walking around like Christmas time, and the kids are just like, "Oh my god, there's the deer!"
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, guys, it's been really fun. I really appreciate hearing your stories and listening to the animals and the people, and Bree listening to your stories and your art. Wow, that's so cool.
Well, thank
You're going to
you.
have to do another art class.
I'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, spirit art. That'd be
Yeah.
neat. So, anyway, I appreciate you guys being here, and I will be back on Saturday with another episode of kind of the same format. Bring your stories if you have them, because we're going to be talking about lessons our animals have taught us. And my good friend Deborah Rotman will be here for that. Also, Bree's friend, they know each other as well. And the topic is going to be on Saturday. Yeah, lessons that our animals have taught us. Soul contracts, if you know what your soul contract was. Yeah, that's a good one to bring up. We'd love to hear about it. That'll be this Saturday at 3. This Friday at 8, I will be day after tomorrow. I'll be doing a YouTube live in my usual format where I connect you and answer questions from your guides and your loved ones and your animals. So I'll be back Friday at 8 and then Saturday at 3. Jennifer Parr says, okay, she's got a helpful hint here. Carry a bell or sing, talk loudly in bear territory. Thank you, Donna and
Yes.
Bree. Thank you, Jennifer. I never would have known to do anything like that.
Pots and pans.
Sherry, yeah. Sherry's got coyotes. Lisa says, thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for your stories. God, you guys had some great stories. Jennifer, all of y'all. Thank you so much. It's been a great night. We'll see you next time. Bree, I hope you come back again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Thank
Bye for
you.
now, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.